Hey, we all have busy lives these days and can't afford to waste a day stuck on the couch because of a few drinks the night before. ZBiotics is the answer we've all been waiting for. ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. ZBiotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. It's designed to work like your liver, but in your gut where you need it most. Just remember to drink ZBiotics before drinking alcohol. Of course, drink responsibly and get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. Give ZBiotics a try for yourself. Go to zbiotics.com/Adam to get 15% off your first order when you use Adam at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. And July 4th is right around the corner, so order a pack of ZBiotics for you and your friends today to make sure you get it in time. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/Adam. Use code ADAM at checkout for 15% off. Thank you, ZBiotics, for sponsoring this episode.
RC.
Nice.
Very Chicago of me. All right, 3, 2, 1. What's up? Welcome in. Hoge and Jahns with you on this semi-gloomy June 1st. Kevin Fishbain, how are you?
We made it to June, Johnsy.
Not
that I was worried. Not that I was worried we weren't going to make it to June, but one step closer to the official start of the Matt Eberflus era.
Isn't it already the official start? One
step closer to the first official regular season game of the Matt Eberflus era.
Ah, yes. Real football. Coming. They're not doing anything this week. Are they off this week?
Take the week off. I like it. I like because, for us, because everybody wonders what it's like being the reporters. We always get that jolt like the Tuesday after Memorial Day weekend, like, oh, we gotta be at Hallis. And I'm guessing it's the same thing for the players and coaches. They get the 3-day weekend. It's like, well, we got work today. So it's kind of nice for them to take this week off, and they'll be back at OTAs next week, then mini camp, and then summer vacation.
Yeah, the real summer vacation.
Yes.
For Bears reporters, Bears players, Bears coaches especially. Put in plenty of hours. But you know the deal. I'm Adam Jahns. You can read me at The Athletic at Adam Jahns, Jahns. Adam Hoge is not here. But
he's on his vacation right now.
He is officially on vacation as well. So that's why Kevin Fishbain, the Fishman, the Fish, is here with us today. Adam Hoge is at allchgo.com. You know his Twitter handle, HOGE, at Adam Hoge. And we got K Fishbain there. You can see it if you're watching us on YouTube. Please subscribe. It's K Fishbain, FICHBAIN. Good point right there. That's it. Swag on obviousshirts.com. Kev, it is June. You did a Q&A this week, and I got more questions for you because,
love it.
Yeah, we got to give people what they want. Lots of questions out there. Let me ask you, what questions do you have about this team before we get to the questions from our listeners?
My biggest question, let's put it this way, Johnsy. My biggest non-quarterback question about this team is who's going to be the breakout guy. Like, who are we going to be talking about in January of maybe it's the one of the free agents that got a 1-year deal that pulled in Akeem Hicks and is going to get a new deal and is going to be a key player. Which of these rookies are we going to be sitting here in December, January saying, what a great pick? Because you look at this roster and there's only a handful of guys you can say, I know what I'm getting out of this player. This player is going to be a strong, steady contributor, consistent week in, week out. We know what we're getting from him. He's an impact player.
Okay, who is that? David
Roquan
Montgomery?
Smith,
Roquan Smith?
Montgomery. I think Darnell Mooney, the problem with putting Darnell Mooney there is so much of his game is dependent on the quarterback. So like he is individually capable of being that category, but a Robert Quinn, if he's can stay healthy, I think
Maybe.
is
But if you
maybe
look at his career, there's usually a step back that occurs after such
right.
seasons.
Well, and that's why, like, that's my question. Like, is it, I wrote and today I did a 2-part mailbag. Part one's up today, Wednesday. I brought up Justin Jones. I'm very fascinated by him. He was plan B. Well, maybe he was plan G or H to the Larry Ogunjobi situation. He got a fair amount of money, all things considered. Like, is he the guy? Is it Al-Qadim Muhammad? Is it Nicholas Morrow? Is it Lucas Patrick? Is it Byron Pringle? Is it Equanimous St. Brown? Is it Jaquan Brisker? Is Zach Thomas your starting right guard and he has a phenomenal rookie season? Like somebody, like you'd like to think some of these guys, not just one, not zero. You like to think a few of these guys, because that's what Ryan Poles is obviously making on. So that's my question as we go in. Like we watch these practices and we hope that we can see little glimpses of it, but it's so hard this time of year. So that's my question. It's going to be an ongoing question all year that doesn't relate to Justin Fields, is who's going to step up, who's going to break out.
If you're listening and you feel like reading at the same time, check out Kevin's mailbag. But I also did earlier this week. What day is today? Yesterday. I projected the 53-man roster, an annual exercise that I do where I go through the positions in the middle of OTAs and just rank them by concern. And you and I texted about this a little bit. There are guys we have no idea about on this roster. And I mean that genuinely. True, like wild cards players, like, oh, who is that? You have to double check because there's so many new players on this roster. And there's so many holes. So many holes. You mentioned Darnell Mooney. Like, he might be the only sure thing in terms of, okay, I think he's a pretty good player that you're getting at wide receiver. Look at the offensive line. Like last year, they were so high on Larry Borum and Tevin Jenkins. I feel like Ryan Poles and his staff are too, but what are they going to be in year two? So many questions about this roster. I'm not sure it's a very good roster, but there's potential in certain spots. Again, like a Tevin Jenkins, maybe a Velus Jones Jr.
And you had running back as the least concerned position, which is absolutely correct. And I don't think there's a position that's close. But that's the problem, right? It's 2022. Like, you don't want running back to be your strongest, deepest, most reliable position. I mean, it's great. It's going to help Justin Fields a lot. It's going to help the offensive line. They've got multiple guys that can swing through there. I'm excited to see the fullback and how he factors in. But, you want quarterback or corner or receiver, offensive line, pass rusher. Those are the ones you want to see number one, not running back. That's not ideal in today's NFL.
I walked away from Hallishoff feeling better about cornerback and safety after 2 practices at OTAs. Now, again, small sample size, extremely small sample size, but talking to players, talking to these coaches, the assistant coaches, you could feel the legitimate excitement over Jaquan Brisker and Kyler Gordon in the secondary right now. Yes, they're going to be rookies. Yes, they are rookies, I should say. And yes, there's going to be mistakes for them, but the kids are making plays. It's hard not to be excited if you're the Bears about them.
Yeah, I agree with you. I have had this thought a couple times, John Z, because I'm a little bit I like to, throw a little grenade in the middle and just get a little petty, if you will. Do you think somewhere in Seattle, Sean Desai took a peek at the Bears draft and was like, wait a second.
Like, what the hell?
They used second round picks. He's like, last year, all they did for my secondary was they signed Desmond True. They cut Kyle Fuller. They signed Desmond Trufant, who didn't make the team. They used a 6th round pick on Thomas Graham Jr.
Brought back Artie Burns, who didn't play the year prior, right?
Yeah, didn't really do much in the slot. And I mean, do you remember who was starting at safety? Wait, no. Marquis Christian was your starting nickel corner in the first game of the season, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Like, do you think somewhere Sean decides, like, hello, corner and safety were big needs last year? I could have used a couple second round picks.
Finished in the top 10. The more you list off these players and what they didn't do to help that defense, it's something.
Yeah,
it's something.
But no, I'm with you. I think if Bears fans, this might have been a question in my part 2 of my mailbag. But Bearson's looking for guys to be excited to watch outside fields. I think Brisker and Gordon are, top 5.
I think Velus Jones Jr. could be one.
I think so too.
2
And
practices,
actually,
the guy's catching a lot of passes.
yeah. And don't you notice? Because the only thing we can notice now really is size and speed. We can't tell a whole lot else besides that when they're in shorts. That's why Velus Jones kind of stands out. We knew he was fast, but I might have said this after the draft. I didn't realize how big the guy is. He is not built like someone who runs a 4.3.
No.
So, and I think it's a good thing. That's someone who's going to be able to take an NFL, take the rigors of that come with the NFL, and it's not going to be. He's not Taylor Gabriel. Let's put it that way.
I was just thinking about him. I was watching highlights of Velus Jones Jr. the other day. Why? It's May. What I'm killing time here, right? Let's watch some highlights of.
Should be watching tape on some 10U baseball teams there, Coach. But
yeah, we do.
Yeah, good.
Not really.
Get the all 22.
Not really. What all 9, all 18?
Yeah, all 9, yeah.
All 18 or all 10 if you count the better. That makes sense.
Right.
All 10. Okay.
Yeah.
The amount of quick screens that Tennessee ran with him in USC, there's a couple from USC as well. I thought of Taylor Gabriel and how often Matt Nagy ran that with him and how often he was tackled by the shoestring.
Yeah.
I'm talking about could not break tackles, was not elusive enough despite his speed.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, speaking of youth coaching, our listeners should read Bruce Feldman's story at The Athletic about what it was like coaching his 2nd grade son's flag football team.
Oh, I haven't read that.
Very.
I should do my story about coaching the 4th grade.
Oh, yeah, you got to go on. No, but it was you'll enjoy it. It's a very good story. It was fun to read about it, and it's amazing. And this from being in it, that 2nd graders are at this level, the plays that they were running, and it's pretty impressive.
At 4th grade, in our flag football league, now this is where all the YouTube comments start complaining about getting off topic here with the Bears. We'll get to your questions soon.
This is still football. Hey, yes. Some of those 4th graders could be Bears one day, so this is on topic.
So in our flag football league, there is an unabated rusher, but you can't. So you can't. You could do things getting in his way, right? But you can't touch him. You can't block him. So we would do a lot of rollouts, a lot of play action stuff, a lot of boots, changing the launch points. And we would do stuff that Matt Nagy should have always done for Mr. Trubisky and Justin Fields. High-low stuff. Simplify it for your 4th grader. Low-high. You know what I'm talking about. And we had a lot of success with it. Change the launch points. Flip those hips if you're rolling to his left, right-handed quarterback. It was just a lot of fun. Did a lot of good things in flag football that was last year.
So you guys were a little bit more Bill Lazor than Matt Nagy is what you would say.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe a little bit more Luke Getsy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Than Matt Nagy. Yeah. We'll see. Want to get to these questions?
Let's do it.
All right. Let's find some good ones here. This is from Sean on Twitter. Kari Blasingame looks like a big dude with some speed for his size. Do you guys think he will get some handoffs and contribute in the run game?
No, yes and no. He's going to get a lot more touches than a Bears fullback has in a very long time because they haven't had one worthy of it. But I still think this. When you see this is another guy, right, Johns? He stands out at OTAs when you look at him. He looks like a tight end. I think Hoge has talked about that on the show. Blasingame does not look like a fullback. He looks like he should play tight end. And you watch some of the highlight of his big catch he had for Tennessee. I think it was 2 years ago or maybe last year. You could see it, but in the end, we're still talking about a fullback. So maybe 25 carries and 12 catches kind of season.
Can I remind you of previous fullback storylines? There's Paul Lasicki,
of course,
on the trick play.
Former rugby star.
Yes. Taking out Kyle Long and forever changing his career. Was that at Tampa?
Yep.
Michael Burton.
Mr. Trubisky's good friend.
And roommate.
Yep.
That's it. That's all I got for you.
Tyler Klutz. You can go back.
Oh, we're going to go further.
You want to go further back? But then when Mark Trestman got here, he started using, a tight end back there. But you forgot Mitch Unrein.
Ooh. I do remember that.
Goal line lead back.
Yes.
Mitch on Ryan. So no, I'm excited to see how they incorporate Blazing game, but I wouldn't get too excited about him getting the ball a lot because you're still going to want Montgomery and Herbert and even Ebner and Darrington Evans getting the ball more often.
He's there to take out linebackers.
Yeah. And there's going to
be
there'll be a play. What was it 2 years ago? Like JP Holtz at a 25-yard catch or something from the H-back spot on one of the better designed plays we saw. Like there's going to be an opportunity for Blazing Game to do that one day. And it'll be one of those things that takes weeks to set up, but it's going to be a huge play.
And the Bears think he could do that. Talk to their assistant coaches. They're high on what he could do as a receiver. Now, whether that actually turns into real production,
go back to what we talked about earlier. You don't want your passing game to need your fullback to be anywhere. He shouldn't be like top 8 in targets.
No, not at all. All right, let's move on. This is from Sam on Twitter. Who will be the surprise player on offense that breaks out during training camp?
This is what we're talking about, right? This is the big. Yeah, I almost.
I have one.
We talk about. All right. Well, you go first, and I'll keep.
Okay.
So he stops me from rambling.
I don't know if it's a surprise player, but I have Tevin Jenkins.
Oh.
Looking every bit like a first-round pick.
Yeah,
or late
like
first-round pick, high second-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
I think he will bury some players in training camp. I think he's looking forward to burying some players, even if it's his teammate, because that's what you want from him.
He didn't get to do that last year.
No.
He didn't get a training camp.
No. Talking to him last week, or hearing him talk last week, he felt eager, right? Like calm in where he is at his career, confident that he's got to prove himself again, but so eager to really get going with the pads on. He's lost some weight, lost 20 pounds. He's doing Pilates. His back feels good. That's who I'm watching in training camp. And I'm usually not attracted to like the offensive line drills, but I'm looking forward to seeing what Tevin Jenkins does. Absolutely.
No, I think that's a great answer. I'm going to say this with the caveat. I don't think this should mean that this guy's going to be a star, but I think Byron Pringle is someone that you're going to notice just because of the speed. He's going to be in the top line of receivers, and and training camp is geared toward the offense. And I just think that because of his speed, because of what they might try to do with him, similar with Velus Jones, but I think we kind of expect Velus Jones to stand out in training camp. I think Byron Pringle is someone that there's going to be days, Johns, where we're going through our notebook and we're going to say, hey, Pringle had a 30-yard catch. Hey, Pringle had this big catch and run. Now, again, we want to be careful because you look at the guy's track record. He hasn't had great production in the NFL. But I do think he's somebody that has the skill set to catch our eye at Hallis Hall. It's kind of still sad to not say catch our eye in Bourbonnais.
Yeah, true. I'll miss it. I still miss it a little bit, especially the first few days. Number 13, Byron Pringle, for all those listening and making the trip to Hallis Hall this year. Fast, a lot of underneath stuff. I noticed that in OTAs.
A little bigger than you expect too. I think he's like 6'1".
Yeah. And again, in terms of quantity of targets, it's all relative to your situation. He's the number 2 receiver in the Chicago Bears. So, there will be targets.
Yep.
There will be targets. All right. This is from J-Mac on Twitter. What are your expectations for Trevis Gibson this season?
Good question, Jason McKee. I can tell you what the Bears social media department is acting like Travis Gibson's going to be a star by how much he's been featured in some of their content. And he was an impact player by the end of last year. You look at his forced fumbles, you look at his sacks, he piled them up. I think we can be confident the scheme is going to do some nice things for him as he's more comfortable with his hand in the dirt. You got some numbers in mind, but I think it's okay to look at him and say, hey, this is somebody that could really, have a really good season. You could be talking about someone who becomes a long-term starter there.
Let me set an over/under on sacks, 5.5.
I would go over. I mean, I think 6-7 is reasonable.
Doable.
Playing opposite Robert Quinn and Al-Qadim Muhammad. Again, in a more comfortable spot in the defense. Yeah, I don't know what his ceiling is, but I think he's established. Hopefully for the Bears' sake, he could establish at least a high floor that he's going to get you. 6 to 8 sacks a year. You take that from a 4th round pick, right? 5th round pick, fifth round pick.
Pick.
They traded a 4th round pick to move up to get him.
So let me get to this next question from Theodore. What position is Jeremiah Atachu playing? He's playing from what I've seen. He's playing defensive end.
Yes.
Was signed as a 3-4 outside linebacker. I actually cut him on my initial 53-man roster projection. I think there were some.
I cut him in February.
Yes. Some readers were surprised by that in the comment section, but I don't think you were surprised. You didn't ask me about where he is.
I mean,
like you said, you cut him earlier.
Yeah, I did. It's not a huge cap relief, but for someone who's never played in a 4-3 defense, who's coming off a season-ending injury, who's not familiar with this coaching staff, like I was surprised that he stuck around. But look, you can never have enough pass rushers. He's a veteran. He's had some decent production in his career. But yeah, I mean, I still put do you put Dominique Robinson ahead of him? I think that's the question.
He's a draft pick.
I think it's, but is he going to be ready week 1, or would you rather
No, he's not going to be ready in week 4, but he's still got to play to get ready.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, frankly, Jeremiah Tosh is one of those guys that you show up at practice and you're going down your roster and you have to remind yourself he's still on the team.
So he's like your 4th, 5th defensive end. And if this is the conversation we're having, I'm giving those 10 to 12 snaps per game to Dominique Robinson over a journeyman veteran. I just am.
Yeah.
It's the long-term play that you have to make. It's not going to be easy. He'll make mistakes just like Kyler Gordon or Jaquan Brisker were, but you have to make the long-term moves here.
I do think it is good for Jeremiah Tasha that he is still on the team, because that would have been a very easy cut for Ryan Poles to make when you consider all the moves he's made to overhaul this roster. It would have made a lot of sense for him to do it, and he didn't, so it means they see something in him. I'm just not sure what that role is going to lead to if he makes a 53.
Hey guys, Kent here from Team Hoge and Jahns. One of my favorite memories of growing up in Texas, especially in the summer, is grilling and barbecue. Nothing better than this time of year than going outside, getting on the grill, and putting a nice quality piece of meat on there and enjoying it with the family. So here's a little gift-giving wisdom from Omaha Steaks. Dads want steaks. There isn't a better gift than Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com, type Adam into the search bar, and order the Dads Want Steaks package today. Can you just imagine Father's Day? Dad's opening the presents that everyone got for him, and he pulls out that nice box of Omaha Steaks. Guarantee you everyone in the room is going to be jealous that they didn't think of that. And as a special gift for our listeners, when you type Adam in the search bar and order the Dads Want Steaks package, you get 8 free Omaha Steak burgers. These burgers are full of bold, beefy flavor made from 100% Omaha steak. Now they're bigger than ever at a whopping 6 ounces. So don't wait. Send Dad more than just a gift. Send him the experience that he'll love and share with you. Go to omahasteaks.com and type Adam into the search bar and order the Dads Want Steaks package. You'll get 16 entrees and 4 desserts, plus those 8 free Omaha Steaks burgers. Omaha Steaks isn't just steak. It's the best steak of your life. Guaranteed. It's omahasteaks.com. Keyword, Adam.
No one likes waiting on a paycheck, especially when you've got bills due. Good thing there's Chime. Now you can get your paycheck up to 2 days early with direct deposit. It's up to 2 more days to save, pay bills, and generally just feel good about your money situation. But Chime is more than just about getting paid early. It's also an award-winning mobile app, checking account, debit card, and optional savings account. So what are you waiting for? Hopefully not your paycheck. Get started with Chime today. Applying for a free account takes less than 2 minutes. Get started at chime.com/Adams. That's chime.com/Adams. The Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card is issued by Stride Bank North America pursuant to a license from Visa USA, Chime checking account, and a $200 qualifying direct deposit required to apply for the secured Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card. Regular on-time payment history can have a positive impact on your credit score. Impact the score may vary, and some users' scores may not approve. As we get older, I think everybody's looking for better health and a better health routine, and I'm here to tell you about Elysium Health, the most trusted source for NAD+ supplementation. Their product Basis is clinically proven to increase levels of NAD+ by 40% safely and sustainably. Elysium products target aging at its source. They're unlike any other health company I've ever seen, and they're at the forefront of NAD+ supplementation. They have dozens of the world's best scientists. 8 of them are Nobel Prize winners. NAD+ is found in every single cell of your body and is responsible for creating energy and regulating hundreds of cell functions. But NAD+ levels decline as you age. Lack of sleep, intense exercise, unbalanced diet, sun overexposure all deplete NAD+ levels. Here's what Basis does. Supports energy and metabolism on the cellular level, helps maintain healthy DNA, supports in recovery from workouts, reduces general tiredness and fatigue, gives you healthy skin, and general health and wellness feelings. So go to trybasis.com/Adam and enter code Adam at checkout to save 10% off Basis prepaid plans as well as other Elysium Health supplements. That's trybasis.com/Adam and use code Adam at checkout to save 10%. Thank you, Elysium Health, for sponsoring this episode. I like this question from Anish. Rank Eddie Jackson, Jalen Johnson, and David Montgomery in terms of who has the most to prove under the new regime this year. So it's Eddie Jackson, Jalen Johnson, and David Montgomery.
I would say Jalen Johnson 1, Eddie Jackson 2, David Montgomery 3.
What are your thoughts of this whole Jalen Johnson with the twos? Matt Eberflus clearly calling him out in the media, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, it's not nothing. But if he's opposite Kyler Gordon at minicamp in 2 weeks, do we move on and say, okay, yeah, he took his lumps. I'll say so they've had Matt Eberflus has talked after practice 5 times. 3 times at voluntary veteran minicamp and 2 OTAs. What's the first thing he said at every press conference? He thanks the guys for being there. And Jalen Johnson, for whatever reason, and again, I understand it's voluntary, and I don't really have too much. Usually, don't much of a problem. By the way, did you see how many Packers players weren't at OTAs yesterday?
Ooh,
there's a long list of guys not there. But so yeah, I was surprised though that they kind of made him work that long to get back up. So that's what I was at. Well, let's see where he's at minicamp. But I think he's got a lot to prove to the staff.
I'd rank him the same way. I think David Montgomery's already won them over to a certain extent. Now, whether that turns into an extension, I don't know. GMs value running backs differently.
Yeah,
Khalil Herbert produced in his place. Yeah,
you can look at how the Chiefs have treated the running back position.
But they've drafted guys high.
They have. They don't really
re-sign them.
Yeah, I think I wrote this at the beginning at when we talked to Montgomery in April. It would be great if Dave Montgomery was a wide receiver, a quarterback, a corner, an edge rusher, right, or a left tackle. Like everything that he brings to your team. You just kind of from a long-term view.
I wish I had 11 David Montgomerys.
Right. Like he is everything you want out of a football player for your team. The problem is he plays a position that just is, as you said, it's just not valued as much. So that's why they know what he is. They know what he brings. Eddie Jackson's interesting because the reason I put Jalen Johnson ahead is there's more riding on Jalen Johnson becoming a long-term player. Think about how set they would be if he is as good as physically he can be. We've seen plenty of flashes from him. They're set for a while with him and Kyler Gordon. With Eddie Jackson, you can get out of his contract next year if you want to. You have your future safety in Jaquan Brisker. You can find safeties. It's just if you're Eddie Jackson of 2017, 2018, then yeah, it matters having him back there. But so it'd be, again, there's another situation. If he gets back to some of that playmaking abilities, Bears are in amazing shape back there. And they keep him. And he's in amazing financial shape because he can keep making money at the end of this contract. But I just don't think there's a whole lot at stake when you look at the long-term view of this team with him.
Let's go back to Montgomery for a second. This is from Nick. What kind of season does Montgomery need to have to earn a new contract with the Bears? Is there a scenario where he plays too well and prices himself out of a new contract with the Bears?
It's a great question. I mean, it's hard though, Johns. Like, what would allow Dave Montgomery to create a bidding war for himself? Let's pull up this year's free agent class of running backs, just so we can get a little comparison. Because these guys just don't the money just isn't there for these guys anymore.
Who was the last running back to get a big deal? Christian McCaffrey?
All right, so this year, Leonard Fournette got a 3-year, $21 million contract on the free agent market.
$7 million per. Is my math right there?
Yep.
Yes.
Good math. So, is that what,
So let's define too well. 1,200 rushing yards, 10 touchdowns, maybe 500 receiving yards, and maybe one more score that way.
Yeah.
He's had 2,000, or he's flirted with 2,000 total yards before. So let's say 2,000 total yards he reaches in some capacity. What do you do? That means that offense works. It's working for Justin Fields. There's production. In that run game, again, helping Justin Fields play action passes are working. You have something clicking offensively. What do you do?
Here's what I do. I give him a 2-year fully guaranteed contract. I'd say 2-year
$20 million?
Yeah, 2-year 18 to 20 million fully guaranteed. And I mentioned this because I got a question in the mailbag up today about Roquan Smith. The Bears, not only do they have a ton of cap space next year, but who do they have to re-sign? Just Roquan Smith. There's nobody else that they really Darnell Mooney. The earliest you can give him a new contract is next year. Same with Jalen Johnson and Cole Kmet. But I don't think, barring one of them have put up Pro Bowl numbers, you're not racing to the bank to go figure that out next March. You've got Roquan. We know that's looming. That's it. And then you have the possibility of one of these 1-year deal guys doing something great. You have all this cap space. You have a quarterback on a rookie contract. So if Dave Montgomery is incredible, and you still think you can get more, you can keep getting consistent play out of him. Yeah, just give him 2 years, 3 years, and give him a lot of money up front. That's the thing. They're gonna have the cash. So if the guy deserves it, why not?
How about the franchise tag?
Again, that's fine. Yeah, because they're gonna have the flexibility to do so. So you might as well.
This year's franchise tag for running backs is $9.75 million.
Oh, I mean, yeah. If he's putting up, is that 1,200, 1,300 rushing yards, 500 receiving yards, double-digit touchdowns? I think it's a no-brainer.
Agreed. Where did this other question go? Knowing it's hard. This is from Marcus. Knowing it's hard to sometimes judge rookie defensive players. What do you want to see from Gordon and Brisker this year to know they will be mainstays in our secondary?
Well, for both of them, I think it's plays in the ball. You want to see impact. You want to see them, because teams are gonna target Gordon for sure. See what he can do. So can he make plays on the ball? Another thing, a big thing for me, Johns, with those two is, especially Gordon, is penalties. Right? That was the thing with them coming out, is no penalties, which is an incredible stat from college. Can they maintain that? It's tough, especially at corner. So I'd like to see, minimize those penalties, minimize mistakes, minimize for Brisker, minimize getting beat deep, minimize missed tackles, things like that. So some things that you can kind of measure, but it's for me in that secondary, it's plays in the ball and don't make a major gaffe.
No blown coverages.
Yeah. Don't become a meme.
Don't be on national television and have Cooper Kupp, the future MVP of the league, running wide open down the middle of the field, like that type of stuff.
You don't want to be a screenshot.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right, this is from Jason.
You can quote me on that.
This is from Jason. Any thoughts on Daz Newsome? any indication on how he is doing? Where is he fitting in? Where is he fitting in, if at all?
Well, we've got beers writing on this, John.
We do.
Can we bring this to the public?
Yeah, go ahead.
Friend of the program, Herb Howard of the Bigs. Herb is very high on Daz Newsome.
What was the total? 55 catches?
39.5.
39.5. Well, I won't wait.
I took the under.
Yeah.
I took the under before he finished his sentence. 39.5 receptions. Now, there's an opening for Daz Newsome to emerge because we've gone through this receiving core. But yeah, I'm not there yet.
There's an opening for anybody to emerge. Is there not?
Maybe that's what Hoge's doing on vacation. He's working on his receiver skills.
We were talking about this when I was compiling 53-man roster. You asked for like Dante Pettis. Well, over 2 OTAs, I don't think I wrote down his number once.
Yeah, I mean, when you're debating Dante Pettis, TJ Sharp, and Chris Fink, and that's not for like, and that's just to be behind guys like Byron Pringle and Equinemius St. Brown and a third-round rookie. Like, yes, there is room for a Daz Newsome to emerge. Yeah, carve out a role. We just got to see it. We didn't get to see him in training camp last year. It took until what? When did he get called up? Like week 14, week 15?
Late.
Yeah. So that'd be a good question, Johns. Is when I'm doing my December mailbags, who's this year's Daz Newsome and Thomas Graham Jr.? Like, remember every week, not just mailbags. We would get questions on Twitter. You get them on the podcast, mailbags. Who's going to be like late in the season when they're not going to make the playoffs and people want to see the quote, the younger players who haven't had a chance yet? Who are we going to get asked about?
They want something for the future. Dominique Robinson's probably one.
Yeah, Dominique Robinson. The problem is that most of these guys, like when you're talking about late round picks, are offensive linemen. So
Zach Thomas at right guard.
Right. It's a little.
I can already hear the calls for it.
Yeah. Those could come early. I got a lot of right guard questions in the mailbag this week. Do you think that the starting right guard is for week 1 is on the roster?
For week 1, yes. Now, does that player start the entire season? My answer right now is no.
No. When I did that story on the Bears, potentially running the outside zone and looked at the athletic scores, Sam Mustipher and Dakota Dozier's athletic scores coming out of college were so low. I felt almost bad even including them compared to the other guy. There's just something that I'm missing here, that you have a set idea of what you want this line to look like. You have a profile of a player that you're targeting, and those two just don't fit the profile right now. So I just don't know how that plan's going to shape up.
Fair. It's going to be a lingering question for a long time.
Hey, look, if the Bears are in great shape, maybe, the idea that right guard, because if you're a really good team, you're spending all this time talking about right guard because you're worried about it. Fortunately, the Bears have way too many questions, and right guard is just one of them.
This is from Richard on Twitter.
Richard.
Which of the UDFAs stands a chance to claim a roster spot this summer?
Well, Hoge's guy Jack Sanborn is kind of the easy answer, both based on college pedigree, draft profile. We had him. Dane Brugler had him as a 6th round grade, and then the fact that he plays a position the Bears are pretty thin, and he can make his way onto special teams. So, is that a cop out? Is that like an easy? Give me another guy. Is there another guy?
You want me to read through them?
Well, I'm pulling up. I just don't know.
I got the roster here.
I think it's going to be a linebacker. It's going to be because they have 3 undrafted rookies at linebacker. So Jack Sanborn, CJ Avery, or Christian Albright. I got that would be my guess would be one of those three guys. The other position I would look at is tight end, right? Chase Allen, another guy who had a draftable grade. It's a thin position. Like, it shouldn't take much for a Chase Allen to, make Ryan Griffin or James O'Shaughnessy sweat a little bit. So maybe keep an eye on him.
Who was the offensive tackle from Florida?
Jean Delance.
Jean Delance? Is it Jean?
I don't know if it's Jean or Jean. I should know that.
Jean Delance. We'll see. I try. In my experience covering this team, I think there's usually a couple undrafted guys that generate insane amounts of buzz, like Tanner Gentry. Right? Who was the receiver from like Missouri a couple of years ago that everybody was
Emmanuel
praising
Hall.
Praising the Bears for getting him on the roster.
That was when people wrote that the Bears had the best undrafted rookie class in football, and 0 undrafted rookies, I believe, made that roster.
Yes. So that's where I stand on things. Like, I really need to be wowed.
Yeah.
And sometimes for these undrafted guys, it's not this team, the first team they sign with, that they make it. It's the next team where they make it, become a contributor, start some games. It's just how it works.
I mean, do the Bears even have anybody on the roster right now who was they've moved on from so many guys. Like, I'm like, who's a former undrafted rookie who's sticking around? I don't know if they have anybody. Caleb Johnson.
Roster again.
Caleb Johnson was the only one last year, right? And he stuck it out, and he had a nice season. Yeah, maybe he wins the Sam linebacker position. Sam Kamara from Stony Brook, still on the team. LaCale London. Sam Mustipher's he's the success story, right? He worked his way up. It took him a few years. Bad injury luck led him to... The other guy from Notre Dame,
what was his name?
Alex Bars. Yeah,
Alex Bars.
That's the Raiders.
Actually, Ryan Pace had a pretty good track record of finding like one or two.
I remember the first story I ever wrote about.
There's still, I don't know. Like, I guess that's success.
Let's remember some guys. DeMontre Hurst.
Nickelback. Great bowler.
Undrafted. Yeah.
Wasn't he the really good bowler?
There's a lot of good bowlers who come through this team. But I remember my first Bears training camp. He was one of the first I did that, undrafted rookie story. And he did DeMontre Hurst and Zach Minter were the guys that made that team.
Zach Minter did. I want
defensive tackle.
Rafer Weigel still owes me $10.
I bet he's listening.
Probably not. Former NBC Channel 7 sports reporter, Rafer Weigel. Come on, give me some more. One more.
And this is now the first Bears podcast has mentioned Rafer Weigel in the past probably 7 years. At least. You're looking for more undrafted rookies in Bears past, or who could make this year's team?
Just give me one more from the past.
Michael Ola. Was he an undrafted guy?
From technically,
Canada.
right? But he's from Canada, but he was an older guy.
Yeah.
Started right tackle. That's another one from the Phil Emery regime.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Ola.
Yeah, but Tanner Gentry was the big one. And then we have these guys.
He made a lot of electric catches over.
He did. And then you have these guys who have these outstanding preseasons. Everybody gets infatuated with them, and then they get cut, and then make the practice squad, so nobody else claimed them. So it's one of those things where there's always that divide between what we see in preseason games and what reality is.
Like Gentry was on the practice squad for 3 years. Michael Joseph has been on the Bears practice squad forever. I feel like. I
mean, look, Alex Bars got cut his first year here when he was the talk of the team.
And then there was the story that the Patriots tried to sign him off that practice squad, and the Bears just promoted him.
Right.
There is your history on Bears undrafted free agents.
Well, hopefully friends of the program, Chris Emma and JJ Stankovitz, big time Alex Bars guys.
Yes.
Are tuned into this podcast.
See, I like this conversation because teams will hit on occasionally on a guy, but it's about having the right expectations for him. Like Sam Mustipher is a success story, and everybody wants to run him out of town. Like Alex Bars, success story, not on the team anymore. Played some games. Zach Minter had 2 or 3 starts, 1 start, some appearances, and then he was gone.
He played a little bit because that was the year Henry Mountain tore his ACL.
Yeah. I think he had another run of things in Dallas.
Sounds right.
Zach Minter did.
So this is definitely the most play Zach Minter's gotten on a Bears podcast, maybe ever.
Yeah. Want to do one more question before we have a fun one?
One more.
All right. Let's find a good one here. How are you, Kevin? As I look for one.
Oh, I'm doing good. Nice Cubs win last night. White Sox are just frustrating. Northwestern's got the first game of the college football season, Johnsy, in Ireland.
Really?
Yeah, they're playing Nebraska.
In Ireland? Dublin?
Yeah. My son's second birthday's that weekend. I was nixed on me saying, hey, let's take him to Ireland for his second birthday. Go catch some Northwestern football. My wife said, why would you fly all the way across the ocean to potentially see your team lose?
Because Ireland is a lovely country.
Yeah. Actually, what she should have said is she said, you know what? Yeah, good idea. You go take him across the Atlantic with you and see how that goes and get back to me.
She just wants the break.
Well, she wants to see the pain that I'd have to go through having a 2-year-old on a international flight.
Robitussin.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Big picture question here from Randy. Bears finish with the top 3 pick next year. Fields looks okay, but not great. What do you do? I feel like it was Nate Tice on this podcast who was already glowing about this upcoming 2023 draft class for quarterbacks. Significantly better than this year's.
Well, listen, if you have the number 3 pick, it's likely that Fields is only okay, if not worse, right?
Or got hurt.
Yeah. And this is where we go back to the fact that he's not Ryan Poles' guy. Ryan Poles did not pick him. There's 2 routes, right? You could do what Miami did this offseason, where Tua's like, they just don't know yet. So they just spent a ton of money in draft picks to surround him with everything so that way they could really know.
They could really see him under throw deep bombs in practice when there's no pads on to the fastest receiver in the game.
Man, that video that they tweeted out, that's got to go up there with the Chicago Bears QB1 Andy Dalton tweet.
Yes, don't.
Yeah.
Social media departments, it's okay to check with your football staff.
So, yeah, if they have a top 5 pick and you're not sure yet about Fields, the question is essentially, do you use that pick to draft a quarterback? Or do you use that pick and all the cap space you have to keep building around Fields and get one more year?
So here's the question. What's okay? He wasn't okay last year. So okay
would be an improvement.
It's better than what he did as a rookie, which is a plus. Okay would probably feature some really, really good moments. Do you find him that number 1 wide receiver? Do you find him that lockdown left tackle? Premier positions, top 5 pick.
I mean, I think you probably do. He's still on his rookie contract. You take advantage. You say it's his last shot. And if he's okay again, then you go into the next year and you go find a quarterback. But I think in that regard, if he's just okay this year, that's the problem too, Johns. Is like, if you're Ryan Poles, you want to know for sure by January, like what you have there.
Well, for sure. So here's a question. Here's a question for you. Is it okay if Fields is just okay? Let's look at the context. He's saying a lot of great things about his wide receivers right now. But let's just be real about this. It's not a great core. There's questions all up front.
Is it maybe the worst offensive line in football?
Well, we'll see what happens with Teven Jenkins and Larry Bourne, but
I mean, like now, if you just looked at experience and pedigree, and all that stuff. Like it might be one of, if not the worst looking groups, offensive line and wide receiver in the league.
There's some problems.
It doesn't mean that that's how the season's going to turn out. Just if you're looking at it right now with the evidence you have.
You have a first-time, not only a first-time offensive coordinator, but a first-time play caller. And Luke Getsy with you. He might just be okay as a play caller.
Yeah.
It is first year.
You also have a defense that, where's this defense going to rank? You know, like if this defense is taking the ball away a lot and helping their quarterback, great. But if his defense is below average, that's just going to put him in tougher spots.
It should be okay for Justin Fields to be okay in some of these games. Now, would you like him to take certain steps where he becomes the guy for a series or two and becomes the guy you win because of? Yes, you would like to see that for a handful of games.
I think you need, like, you know how we talk about the fourth quarter of Pittsburgh a lot? Like, they need full games of that. You know, San Francisco was another game that was, one of his better games. You need more.
You'll get those electric moments. You'll get those scrambles and those amazing throws. Consistency. You want the RPO game to be working, the run game to be working. Let the rollouts look crisp.
I wrote this yesterday. Joe Burrow the Bengals were horrible in 2020, excuse me. Horrible. But Joe Burrow was not horrible. Like, you could tell that they had what they wanted in Joe Burrow before he tore the ACL. You can't say the same thing about the Bears and Justin Fields last year. So the Bears could be bad, but you can step back and Justin Fields could just be average, but that's where the eye test comes in play, right? Look, the Texans have had a 4-12 season with Deshaun Watson at quarterback. We've seen that happen before. So it's just going to be, what was his role with that team, with the team's record, and then that dictates what you do next year with the draft capital and the free agency resources they'll have.
I think the only reason you would consider, maybe a couple of reasons that you would consider drafting quarterback in 2023 is if Fields just stinks it up, like is awful.
Yeah.
Like really bad, beyond bad. Or he gets hurt. And the caliber of players now in question, just in terms of physical skills. Those are the only reasons. Ryan Poles, I think, has been very consistent in considering the short term, but also the long term here. He's not putting all his chips in 2022. He's just not. He's not. Look at the roster. He's just not.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, Johnsy, is like we've seen now in the NFL, if there's a quarterback that you want who's available, whether it's a draft or free agency or trade, you could just go get him. And the Bears would have the resources next year to do that if that's what they wanted to do. And then if they go all the way into 2024 and 2024 becomes the year that they need a quarterback, like they could trade up in the draft. They go trade for a player who's available. Like there's so many different. We just saw it this past winter. Like if you can go get your quarterback in a lot of different ways.
Yes,
you don't have to just have the worst record in football to do it.
Right. I mean, it's preferable to draft a guy, but
yeah.
All right. Last question, fun question from James. If you could have one restaurant handle catering in the press box,
oh boy,
which one would it be? Let's make this very Chicago specific, since the press box food is awful compared to the rest of the league.
So this is it's an easy answer to me, and I'm going to say Portillo's.
I didn't even think about Portillo's. I thought
but
about
the
other.
thing, my thing with Portillo's is there's so many things that are good at Portillo's. Like I get the beef when I go, okay, but you ever step over to the Barnelli's side?
Chop salad.
They have great chop salad. They've got great pasta dishes. You can get the hot dogs. Like I just think that Portillo's, you get a little, maybe the chocolate cakes afterwards, after the game, the fries. I just think that they have the variety.
Their cake shake.
Yeah, to really open things up.
Here is a secret. I feel like only Chicagoans know about Portillo's. Their burgers are fantastic.
They are. I have had their burgers. Very good.
I feel like the outsiders feel like they got to get a beef or a hot dog, or even in Maxwell Street Polish. The burgers are fantastic from Portillo's. I like that answer. I was thinking like Lou's or various local like mom and pop pizza shops.
Yeah. I mean,
like that.
yeah.
So some bar cut pizza.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Tavern
get some
style.
tavern pizza.
Tavern
yeah.
style. Yes,
Tavern style. Mm-hmm. No, that's good. But problem is, I don't know if you want that every Sunday.
It's better than we get every Sunday.
That's true. What we get every Sunday is a pre-wrapped, actually, we would just be getting like pre-wrapped hot dogs that might have,
Been there forever.
Yeah.
They're there right now, waiting for us.
There was a concert at Soldier Field this weekend. Was it Coldplay?
Coldplay was there.
Coldplay was there. Do you think the people in the suites got the press box hot dogs?
Yeah. I know they have better food at Soldier Field. We just don't get it in the press box.
Yeah.
You can let us complain about it all you want, but other fields serve us much better.
Listen,
Which probably would indicate that their food elsewhere in the stadium is better than what you're getting at Soldier Field. That's our point.
I know we talk about this a lot, but if we're well fed, that just means we're going to have better stories, better tweets, better coverage. So you, as the reader and listener, should be rooting for the Bears to, bring the press box food up a notch so that they're not 32nd in the league. Maybe I'll give them 31st. There's got to be somebody that's worse.
Full bellies, full coverage.
There you go.
I don't know who's worse. Anyway, Kev, thank you for joining.
Of course. Thanks for having me. This was great. Hoge, I'm sure Hoge's listening, probably.
On his vacation.
So, hello, Hoge. I kept the seat warm for you.
Yeah, at your house. You guys know the deal again. Follow me at Adam Jahns, at Fishbain. Read us at theathletic.com. He's got his mailbag up right now. When's part 2 going up?
Part 2 goes up Friday morning.
Friday morning. So get that. A lot of questions. A lot of questions for you. What's one general theme?
General theme is, the theme is still like, what's the plan?
Yeah.
Which we've talked about. But I think there's just concern about right guard, nickel corner, receiver.
Certain spots.
Yeah, certain spots. Who are going to be the guys there?
Okay. Read Adam Hoge at allchgo.com. Rate and review us wherever you get your podcast. YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Obviousshirts.com for Hoge and John's shirts, some baseball hats, some hoodies. Check it out. That's it, Kev. Thanks for joining us. We will see you. You coming on next week?
I'm here when you guys need me.
Right.
I'm just the ultimate utility player.
You are. So maybe. That's it. See you, everybody. See ya.